Right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the regular scheduled village board meeting on December 9th, 2025. With that, we'll call the meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Stuffin, roll call, please.
Mayor DeVold?
Here.
Trustees Amos?
Here.
Babiak?
Here.
Brockman?
Here.
Chapman?
Here.
Luciano?
Here.
Suffrage.
All right, we do have enough board members to have a meeting. We do have a quorum established. With that, we'll move on to our citizens section. Are there any citizens wishing to address the village board this evening? And seeing none, we'll move on to this evening's consent agenda. Item number 1 will be approval of the regular meeting minutes from November 25th, 2025. Item 2 is approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes from November 25th, 2025. Item 3 is approval of accounts payable in the amount of $702,459.27. Item number 4 will be approval of a payment in the amount of $1,003,226.92 to Joseph J. Henderson and Sons for the Lake Water Receiving Station project. And item number 5 will be a payment in the amount of $159,764 to Linco Equipment Sales for the new plow truck upfit. Are there any items the board member has a question or any further information? If none, take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by trustee Luciano.
Second.
Second by trustee Babiak. Roll call, please.
Babiak?
Yes.
Brockman?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Luciano?
Yes.
Amos?
Yes.
All right. That motion, the consent agenda has been approved. Under reports of communications, was there anything that you had received prior to the meeting for this?
No.
Okay, thank you. Moving into this evening's order of business, this will be a very short agenda going into the holiday season for everybody. Business item number 1 would be a consideration for approval of a resolution setting forth the meeting dates of the Village of Shorewood and its administrative subunits for the year 2026. As everybody is aware, the agenda reflects the meeting dates for the village board. We're meeting the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of each month. It represents in the first Wednesdays for planning and zoning, and the selected dates at the committee, Citizens Advisory Committee is meeting as well. Does anybody have any questions on said dates? If not, take a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Babiak.
Second.
Second by trustee Chapman. Roll call, please.
Brockman?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Luciano?
Yes.
Amos?
Yes.
Babiak?
Yes.
All right. Meeting dates have been approved. Business item number 2 will be a consideration of an ordinance amending Title 10 of the Shorewood Village Code regarding industrial zoning districts. This item is up for a first read. Over to trustee Brockman.
Thank you, Mayor. We held a public hearing on this over 2 planning and zoning meetings, November and December. No one came before the committee to speak for or against the project or the ordinance, and comes here with a 6-0 vote. And Natalie, I'm sure you have a few things to say about it.
So our zoning ordinance was written in 1993. At that time, the population of Shorewood was just over 6,000 people, and most of the industrial districts were on the outskirts of the village. Since 1993, our population has tripled, and the character of Shorewood has changed, and obviously the character of our industrial parks as well. Today, there are very few people who are doing traditional manufacturing in our business parks, and we are getting contacted by a lot of transportation, logistics, and recreational type business who are interested in moving in. Based on these factors and also the emergence of new uses like data centers and flex space and co-working spaces, which weren't contemplated in 1993, the comprehensive plan recommended that we do an update to the industrial section of the ordinance. Staff undertook this project. We looked at the intent of each zoning district and refined them and tweaked the uses and the lists. We considered the impacts of the districts on the surrounding uses and addressed things like truck businesses, parking, screening, and outdoor storage. We also addressed design guidelines, which have been discussed with many projects, but we've never actually codified. We have 3 zoning districts, so I will not go through all the details of everything. I'm sure you don't want to spend 3 hours listening to it all, but I'll go through the intent of each zoning district. Our least intense zoning district is the ORI district. The Heartland Business Park down off of Southwest Frontage Road is a good example of what that business park is intended to look like. We also have some random properties throughout town that are zoned ORI, including the Public Works Facility, Breaker, everything on 59 between Train and Forest America, and then a couple of others spotted around. The ORI Office Research and Light Industrial District is intended to provide a modern campus-like environment suitable for research and development activities, technology and innovation businesses, engineering and testing activities, office uses, warehouses, and logistics facilities, and limited manufacturing facilities that will not have an adverse effect upon the environmental quality of the community. That's what we sort of tweaked for the intent. We think that that's representative of what we're looking for today. Our next industrial district is the I-2 zoning district. This is our general industrial district, and primarily the Shorewood Industrial Park and the Amon Dodge Industrial Park, although there are a couple of others spotted through town, like the Nicor property, Prairie Concrete, and County Line Solar. This is a district that's seen a lot of transition. As Comp Plan points out, we've seen a lot of recreational-oriented uses moving in, things like dance studios and baseball and basketball and things like that. They like to take advantage of the less expensive space as well as the high ceilings in the area. And we've also seen a lot of trucking business looking at this area. So we've tweaked this a little bit as well. The intent of this we have written as the I-2 industrial district is intended to accommodate light industrial uses as well as a variety of other service uses which work well in an industrial park. Uses in the district are intended to be non-intensive in terms of their impact on nearby uses and the community character overall. We do have a third industrial district, I-3. This is the most intense of our industrial district, and it's designed to give more flexibility if we're ever considering a very heavy industrial business. We don't currently have any properties that are zoned I-3, but we do have it on the books in case we have one that comes up. Nothing changes in the I-3 zoning district with this amendment, except that we reference a use table. And this is something that we've created in the ordinance. Basically what it does is it brings together all of the different industrial uses into one table, so it's easier to navigate. So if you're looking to bring a business to town, you look at what category it is, and then you can go across the line and see where it's allowed. In the table, P represents permitted uses, C represents conditional uses which would come to you for approval, and A is accessory uses that can only be allowed if they're secondary to another primary business. I've highlighted the categories. ORI goes down one column in orange, and then I-2 in purple, and then if we ever had I-3 uses, they would be in blue. Many of the categories were simply copied and pasted from the ordinance. We did do some tweaks for language. We added in the new uses, like I mentioned, the data centers and the tech businesses and the WeWorkspace and things like that. We took some of the truck-intensive uses and made them conditional uses instead of permitted uses based on the direction of the board. We added some things that were missing, and then we added a couple of categories because in 1993, when we wrote this, we could never contemplate things like data centers. And we know that 20 years from now, there's going to be uses like that we don't contemplate, so we did add some categories for conditional uses, so if somebody comes in with a use we're not contemplating today, we know we can take it through the board and we have a process for that. And this is just a snippet of the table to show you what it looks like. As you see in nearly every text amendment that we propose, we like to make sure we have all the definitions up to snuff, so we've added 24 new definitions based on the terminology and things that were missing in the past, and we also updated the freight terminal definition, so we're replacing that one. Something that comes up a lot is commercial vehicle parking, and all of these uses that have a lot of trucks and bring a lot of trucks to the area. We have proposed something that's a little bit unique, and that is regulating the number of parking spaces for semis, semi-trailers, and trailers to one space per 2,000 square feet of building. We have it written so that one semi-truck, one semi-trailer, or a coupled truck and trailer can be parked in each space, but no uncoupled vehicles, and they can't stack them. A similar ordinance was passed in Morris, and there are other municipalities considering similar things. It is a little bit different, a little bit unique, and more of a modern approach. Matthew provided some slides that show an example of what this could look like. So on the left-hand side, you see something that would be characteristic of the sort of older industrial parks, where you see a 25,000 square foot building that could have 12 parking spaces, a 6,500 square foot building that could have 3 parking spaces, and then on the right-hand side, you see something that could go in an ORI business park where you have 250 spaces for a 500,000 square foot building. Our code has always had standards in there for parking lot sizes for regular vehicles, for passenger vehicles, but we've never addressed commercial vehicles. So we wanted to introduce that to the code. So we've got, did a little illustration up there to give you an idea. All of the truck and commercial vehicle spaces are 12 feet wide. For semi-cabs or tractors, we have them at 25 feet long. For semi-trailers, we have them at 55 feet long, which should accommodate most of them. And for semi-trucks and trailers, if they're coupled together, we have them at 75 feet long. One thing the Plan Commission suggested at the last meeting that I thought was a good idea is to have a standard in there for things we're not thinking of. So like buses and straight trucks and box trucks. So we've introduced another standard where, those would be 12 feet long, and then the length of the building plus 3 feet. And those would not fall under the 1 to 2,000 square foot ratio. Some of our plan commissioners pointed out that we have a lot of businesses like plumbing companies and businesses where they have a lot of service vehicles that don't necessarily need the same restrictions as the semis that are more impactful. Tandem parking, this has come up in the past. We have this is not permitted, although there are some existing ones that have been permitted in the past. We also looked at landscaping because buffering is always an important thing. So we've added some specific language to the code where they'd be required to provide an 8-foot either fence or berm to screen a property between residential and industrial properties, or from a right-of-way if they've got commercial vehicle parking. And we've got a standard in there that they've got to use canopy, evergreens, or taller ornamental trees. And we've updated the landscape code in general because we find we have a lot of plans that are really densely planted, but not necessarily with the trees that we've chosen. A lot of people are choosing to plant canopy trees, which are great, but evergreens are also really good for screening. They're better for sound, and they do a good job screening. So we've added a little bit more points for evergreens that get taller, so that way we maybe they're more appealing to people as they're doing their screening things. Our 2 main goals were, enhancing the visibility and also making sure that we're promoting good landscape health and we're not just overplanting areas with something that's not ideal. In Shorewood, we like to talk a lot about design of the buildings, but we've never actually put those standards in the code, so we're proposing to do some of that here. The first set of standards deal with how we're going to design the sites, which most people do anyways, but we talk about having the entryways and the offices and all the pretty stuff facing the roads and the primary facades, and then things like the loading docks and roll-up doors and mechanical equipment and the high truck traffic areas behind the building or in the secondary facades and not facing residential. We talk about screening service areas and mechanical areas from the street. And we also have addressed outdoor storage. We don't have a ton of outdoor storage in town, but we would allow outdoor storage in the I-2 district, so like Amon, Dodge, and Earl and Geneva, with a conditional use permit, and we would prohibit it in the ORI district. In the ORI district, we don't have a lot of outdoor storage today. I think Train has a little bit of outdoor storage, and the proposed industrial building on Southeast Frontage Road that Mr. Slavic is doing would have some outdoor storage, but that would be it. We've also looked at architecture. We've discussed these in the past, but we wanted to make sure that we've got, good-looking buildings without being oppressive. So we talked in the ORI district, so things like Heartland Business Park, like Bob's Furniture and Flyby and stuff like that. We talked about having 85% of the principal facades and 65% of the other facades made of things like brick and stone and concrete panels and integrated colored concrete blocks and things like that. Not allowing them to be pink and purple and ridiculous colors, having light neutral colors, having some detail where they kind of change the height of the building or the building plane, the material or color twice at 150 feet, having different treatments to the corners, consistent designs so that if they have an addition that it matches or at least coordinates with it, and making the entry more prominent, just things to make sure the buildings look attractive and they're good quality. We thought that the standards should be a little bit less restrictive in the ORI zoning district, so we proposed basically the same standards, but with less of the durable masonry type of materials. So we've talked about 35% of the principal facades being things like brick, stone, and concrete, and 10% of the other facades. And I threw up the Belial building that they proposed as an example. It doesn't quite match the standard, but we thought that was a good example of how they've taken a building and put a little bit of masonry and a little bit of detail on it to make it look nice. So this is basically what we're proposing, you know, the idea of let's update it. We've tried to do it from a wholesale perspective where we've looked at everything and we're, you know, proposing something that will last a long time and that will address some of the issues that we've heard. I would say it's a stricter ordinance, it's a more modern ordinance, and we think it's a little bit more responsive to some of the concerns we have about traffic. And I should point out the Plan Commission really did dive deep into this one. They, you know, heard about it, took a month to review it, came back and really came up with some good suggestions and changes and things like that. So they did in my opinion, a really good job of vetting it for you guys.
Trustee Brockman, anything you want to add about that with your P&Z group?
Natalie did a superb job as usual, and like she said, we looked at this not only in November but also December. It, you know, her talk tonight was a little bit briefer than what we had gone through planning and zoning by about 4 hours. So, but yeah, it looks good from start to finish, and that little addition there at the end was very helpful, I think. So, of the straight trucks and that. So, I don't know if anybody needed any more time. We'd like to get this through, or.
I think it'd be a good time to do it. Like I said, you planning and zoning chewed it through for a couple of months, and I know you guys had some opportunities to go through it.
Yeah. Okay, well, why don't we do that then? Consider an ordinance amending Title 10 of the Shorewood Village Code regarding industrial zoning districts and waive the second read.
Motion by Trustee Brockman, second by Trustee Babiak. Roll call, please.
Chapman?
Yes.
Luciano?
Yes.
Amos?
Yes.
Babiak?
Yes.
Brockman?
Yes.
All right, item 2 has been approved. That actually concludes the business agenda. We can run through trustee comments. We will have an executive session upon conclusion of trustee comments, though. So with that, Trustee Amos.
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Babiak.
No comments.
Thank you. Trustee Brown.
Thank you again, Mayor. Our next meeting is either the 6th or 7th of
The
January.
7th, I believe.
It's what, 7th?
I believe it's the 7th. yes.
Okay, 7th, too early for an agenda at this point, so, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Chapman.
No comment.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Luciano.
Citizens Advisory will be meeting on January 26th at 7 p.m. here at the Village Hall. As always, if anyone's interested in becoming involved with it, they can contact myself or any other members through the information on the Village website. Thank you.
And before that, on my part of that, I want to thank everybody. Have a great holiday. Thank you for coming out to the holiday market. To all of our board members for coming out. Merry Christmas. We do have one other item that came up before we go into exec. Aaron, you wanted to brief everybody real quick?
Yes, just, do we need to correct the date for Citizens Advisory?
Yes.
What's the
What
date?
is the date?
It's 22nd.
22nd.
Yeah, it gets mixed up quite a bit when we have 5 months. Everyone thinks it's the last one. Myself, I've done it a couple of times.
So Citizens Advisory is
I
22nd.
originally had it for 29th, but after looking at the calendar again, I changed it to the 22nd.
Okay, just so we got it right for everybody. Thank you for correcting that. Just real quick, since we don't have another board meeting for 5 weeks, the vet clinic that we've all been watching go up is almost ready to open. They are good on the inside. They're just finishing up some last minute stuff. Bob and then the fire department will be doing final expenses this week. Outside, we do have a problem. The problem is they have the same problem we have with acquiring light poles. The same project type with, what we're having with Windstone at 52. So they've been waiting and waiting and waiting. They're just not here. They're still 3, maybe 4 weeks out for their parking lot poles, which puts them into another month. And then the roadway lighting, we're hoping to be in this week. They have those poles in. We're trying to get them up. In the event that those poles are not ready, but regardless, we do have some concerns. We feel that they need a little bit more light than what's on the building to render the parking lot safe. We've been working with the contract superintendent and the property owner developer, and we think that if they put up some temporary light trailers late in the afternoon that would run into the evening while they're open, and then at the end of the night, they could turn those off, not to disturb anyone in town center. We think that's an excellent compromise so that they can open. Bob and Natalie have been on the phone multiple times a day seeing this through, and I think that's an excellent proposal. We did want to run it by you to see if anyone had any objection to that. If they can't do that, they are vacating their current space. They'll be out of business for essentially a month. I know that's not our primary concern. We do have some concerns that there are residents that are expecting that service for their pets. So I would hate to have our residents incapacitated by that. So I'd be willing to answer any questions or hear any comments you have about that compromise.
I think it's the best practice for us to try to continue to work with businesses of that nature. You know, it's not like they're trying to put light plants up to run all night. It's just,
That's the only solution you have is temporary.
it's temporary, it's, yeah.
As long as they're,
They're shutting them off
yeah,
when they're
and they're
closed
not
up.
ultra bright where it's gonna
Yeah.
disturb the resident.
No,
No, they're just gonna be on the road in their parking lot.
I don't know that you'll even notice it with all the Christmas lights up right now. So if nobody has any objection to that, I'll direct staff to continue to work with them, and hopefully we get them open by Saturday, which is their intended date to begin service here. All right?
And then with that, I do need a motion to go into executive session, discuss pending litigation upon the village.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Luciano,
Second.
second by trustee Babiak. Roll call for exec, please.
Luciano,
Yes.
Amos,
Yes.
Babiak,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
All right, and the board will go into executive session. We will adjourn from executive session. There'll be no further action taken upon conclusion. Thank you.